One's stepdaughter, but I mean, she's, I call her my daughter, I'll take credit for her. But they're 35, 33, and 30, all right? And so I raised two boys, and then I inherited a daughter. And she, you know, my boys for their entire life, they heard growing up, Social Security's not gonna be there when I get ready to retire. Fact of the matter is, Social Security is not there now. I cannot retire on Social Security. When I came to work for TJC, TJC does not pay into Social Security. So I stopped accruing and building my Social Security almost 30 years ago. So my Social Security is going to be all of about $800 a month. Okay, my wife though has worked, you know, civilian sector or whatever you want to call it, and has paid into Social Security for her entire life, and hers is probably not going to be much more than about $2,000 a month. Okay, so how much is your rent?
Yeah.
How much is your car insurance? Do you want to eat? You know, it's not there now. So you have to start preparing to, you know, to supplement what might be Social Security by the time you get there. And kind of like what Russ was talking about, nobody really talked about this when I was a kid. And so I kind of had to figure it out, and that's what this is all about. And this may be, well, definitely is, as far as personally goes, the most important lecture of this semester. Personally, maybe the most important lecture of this entire 2 years. Professionally, no, but personally, yes. Okay, is how to get yourself ready for retirement. And again, I haven't reviewed this probably in 2 months when I started putting it together, so it's going to be as much of a surprise to me what pops up as it is to you on each one of these slides, because it's been a while since I've even opened this. So first off, you're going to graduate. How much are you making right now? Zero, exactly. How much are you getting paid for clinicals? Zero. Nothing, right? So it costs you more to do your current job than what, you know, and it costs you. It just costs you, right? So when you graduate, you're a starving student right now. Whenever you graduate, you're going to be making, I think Russ said, around $27 an hour, right? So you multiply that out, and if you multiply 8 hours a day times 52 weeks a year, you work roughly, well, you work or you get paid for 2,080 hours per year. Okay, so multiply that by 27,000, and you've got, you know, $54,000 minimum. So how much more is that than what you're earning right now? $54,000, right? So, you know, the important things are whenever you graduate, prioritize things. I know that your tendency is, I've got money and I didn't have money before, let's spend money and have fun. And that's fine for a short time. After that, you know, you need to be responsible with your money and do something with it, okay? So what you do with it, you've got a lot of different vehicles that you can, you know, invest in. There's online platforms. What I recommend that you do is prioritize your employer's retirement plan. So, you know, spend within your means or live within your means is a very important thing, very important concept to grasp. You know, people get in trouble whenever they start using credit cards and they build up debt. The average interest rate on credit cards is probably 20%, which means that the way interest works is that it compounds, okay? So if you took out a loan paying 20% interest on that loan, about every probably 3.5 to 4 years, the principal on that doubles. So if you're making minimum payment on a credit card, you're never going to get out of debt. It's just going to continue to pile up. If you use, I use credit card to buy everything, but I get reward points and I pay it off every month. If you don't think you can do that, put your credit card in a drawer and never touch it, right? It's important to have credit because, you know, if you go to buy a car and you have no credit, you're going to pay a high interest rate. If you go to buy a house and you have no credit, you're gonna pay a high interest rate. So it's important to have credit. So, maybe charge something to pay it off immediately, but live within your means. Don't charge your credit cards up. You get yourself into trouble that way. So set reasonable expectations for yourself. You're gonna be earning $60,000 or so whenever you graduate, a little over $60,000 based on that salary. So, you're not gonna go out and buy a $400,000 house, right? And you're not gonna buy a Dodge, the Dodge Charger Hellcat? That's just foolish spending. Buy you something that'll get you around, and it can be nice, but don't go for, maxing out your spending or maxing out your earnings. Live within your means. So don't overpay for what you get. My younger son has become a negotiator on everything. I mean, the kid, he does, Hayden and I have talked about him. He's a surveyor, and his name is Hayden too. I mean, what are the odds, right? And he started to go to x-ray school, but he's making too much money surveying. He travels, and he lives in Airbnbs, and he'll negotiate with them to, get the cost of the Airbnb down. And you can't negotiate everything. You go to the grocery store and, you can't get to the cashier and say, okay, this jug of milk is $2.19. How much is it really? She's gonna go beep. Yeah. $2.19. Give me the money. But certain things you can. Okay, so the things that you can negotiate. The things that you can't, let it go. So set goals, reward yourself. So what I'm going to talk about in this a lot is it's going to sound like don't reward yourself, but be a miser and put your money away. And it's kind of like, anybody ever been on a diet? Everybody's been on a diet, right? How fun are they? They suck, right? So you do real well for a short period of time. I don't think I turned my microphone on. You do real well for a short period of time, and then sooner or later, you get tired of it, right? Well, the same thing applies here. So if you just sock all your money away, some people are good at it. Some people, most people I'd say, if you just sock all your money away and you don't have any fun with it at all, then the investment and the money owns you. You don't own it. So you got to reward yourself a little bit here and there. So those are the kind of the highlights of that. So getting the right mindset, determined to save, kind of like what Russ was talking about. Whenever you graduate, plan on, at the minimum, taking full advantage of the match plan. Okay, so he said that theirs gives up to 5%, right? So invest at the minimum for however much they match. Okay, so if they match 5%, you get 5%. Your return on investment is 100% right off the bat. All right, so you put $1,000 in, they put $1,000 in, you got $2,000 at the end of the year. You can't touch that until retirement. If you do, you pay a big penalty, but maximize it. And if you can, do more. 10% is a great goal to set. 10% of your pay is a great goal to set. Now, whether or not you contribute to charity, church, whatever, that's up to you. But as far as your retirement goes, set some sort of goal, minimum, whatever they're going to match, up to as much as you can. Okay, so determine not to touch your retirement savings for a lot of different reasons. One is if you dip into it once, you'll dip into it again. You dip into it again, you keep pulling money out of it. That's one reason. Another reason is that if you're pulling truly out of your retirement account, then every time you pull out of it, you're going to pay penalties on it that are going to cost you about 50% of how much you pull out. So, you add money into your retirement account and you say, okay, I want to go on a Greek vacation or whatever, I need $10,000. That vacation suddenly costs you $20,000 if you pull it out of your retirement account. So leave it alone, act like it does not exist. Put the money in there and act like it never, you don't even have it. You know, you can look at it and see how it's growing and make adjustments to your portfolio and things like that. We'll get into that. But you can make adjustments, but act like that money is not even yours, okay? And then realize that there is no get rich quick trick, right? So you can play the lottery. You know, who plays the lottery? Either nobody wants to admit it or good, because you know what they call the lottery? A tax on stupid people, okay? So your chances of winning a lot, and you know, okay, so I'm a stupid person sometimes. If it hits $1 billion, I'm buying a ticket, right? Somebody's got to win it. It's probably not going to be me, but if it is, you'll never see my face again, you know? So don't play the lottery. You're just not going to, the chances of winning the lottery is probably somewhere on the order of getting hit by a crashing airplane while being eaten by a shark that's getting struck by lightning. It's just, the chances are very, very slim. So there's no get rich quick. This is long term. This is, who's the youngest person in the room? Youngest student? Everybody knows. Taylor? Okay. Where'd she go? I can't pick on her. So you think somebody who's, you know, she had to be 19 probably to get into the program. She's probably 20, so going on 22 now. So, you know, retirement, maybe 40 years out, right? So on a long-term basis, incremental investing will pay off huge dividends. Now, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to ask who's the oldest person in the room. Well, there you go. Oh, I got to ask. I guess I kind of did. Okay, so determine not to touch it. Realize there's no get-rich-quick tricks, and then you know, understand savings is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you want to do a couple of things. One is to prevent you from getting into your retirement. You want to develop a slush fund in what you refer to as a money market or savings account. These are not really investment tools, but there are things at the current bank that you use. So savings account, you know, some financial advisors, Dave Ramsey, really good to listen to. And you know, there's a lot of them out there, but some of them will say that what you need in your savings account is the equivalent to 1 year's pay. Personally, in this market for what you're training for, I think that's a little excessive, but you do need several $1,000s in there, okay? Say now you want to take that Greek vacation, you got $20,000 in the bank in a savings account. Savings account's not going to pay a whole lot of money, but you can pull that $10,000 out and that's not going to cost you 20 grand, right? So develop that slush fund, because sooner or later you're going to need some money, and if you've taken all of the money and you put it directly into your into your investment account, your retirement account, and you have to get into it. God forbid you have to bury mom or dad. You have to pull $10,000 out to do that. It's going to cost you twice as much. So develop a slush fund, get you a savings account, put some money into it, maybe, you know, minimum $10,000, and then, you know, start to develop your retirement account. You can do this before you start that, okay? So it's a liquid asset, maybe 6 months salary, maybe not even that much. It's your emergency fund, and it also helps you to prevent credit card debt, because if you need to buy something, you know, our washer and dryer went out recently, you know, and so, you know, I put it on credit card and then I paid it off. But if I put it on a credit card and the credit card was paying, you know, charging 20% per year, and I didn't pay it off, that $1,500, you know, purchase, I won't say investment, but $1,500 investment would take me probably 5-6 years to pay it off, paying the minimum. And I've, you know, paid 2 or 3 times the amount for it. So it helps prevent that. So building credit, if you do use credit cards, and you pay them off, then you can build your credit up. So you can, some banks and some financial vehicles will allow you to check your credit report. I recommend you do that occasionally. You're young, you haven't established a whole lot of credit. Do it once in a while to see what your credit is, and you can build your credit. If you've got some things on your credit that are dings, sometimes you can appeal to the credit companies, and explain the situation, you get that elevated. What you want to avoid is, sometimes you'll see commercials on TV that say, do you owe $40,000 in credit card, debt? We can negotiate those things down. That's going to go on your credit kind of like a bankruptcy. They're going to hurt your credit considerably, so I'd be careful of those. But if you have credit card debt, try to pay that down first, build your slush fund, then start your investment, okay? But if you're going to use your credit cards, buy and pay it off by the end of the month. Pay it on time, pay it off early, be consistent with it. If you finance a car, try to pay it off early. That'll build your credit. The house that my wife and I bought, we've been in it about 7 years. We financed it on a 30-year note. We're going to pay it off in 7. Okay, so pay it off early. And the benefit of good credit score is, first off, some employers will actually pull your credit score. What does credit score tell your employer? What's that? How reliable, how responsible you are. You've got $100,000 on a Visa card. What's that tell them? This person's a nutcase, right? So, protect your credit. So, benefit of good credit score may be employer. It may be that once you finance a house or a car or something like that, you're going to get a lower rate. Okay, so you're going to pay a lower rate. So dangers of revolving credit cards. Credit cards aren't necessarily bad. It's just what you do with them. If you are going to use a credit card, buy stuff, pay it off, I recommend that you get something that pays rewards. All right. So the credit card I use pays 2%. So every purchase I make, I get 2% back, and then I can use that money to do something else. So should I avoid them? Well, it depends. Every credit card transaction costs somebody 3%. So sometimes the retailer will pass on that to you. Have you ever been somewhere where, like the donut store that I stop at every Sunday on the way to church, she tells me how much donuts are, and if I use my credit card, you look on the thing and it's a higher rate. So they pass that on to you. Some places will eat that charge. If they eat the charge, use your credit card. If they're going to charge you that charge, and the charge is 3.2%. So you're losing 1.2%, pay cash, right? So credit cards aren't necessarily bad, it's just how are you using them, and are you able to pay it off? So should you avoid them? That depends on you. Can you be disciplined enough not to have that outstanding balance at the end of every month, right? So what should you use them for? Again, that depends. Might there be a time where you have to make a big purchase on a credit card and pay it off over a few months? Yeah, maybe. Hopefully not, but maybe. But pay it off as quickly as you can. Pay it down as quickly as you can. So all debt is not bad. Some debt is necessary. Most people can't afford to go just pay cash for a car. Certainly for a house. But if, like our house, we bought our house when interest rates were extremely low. I think that our interest on our house is like 2.75% or something like that. So it was before COVID and it was before everything went nuts. That's good debt, right? Because if you're in a high yield savings account that's paying 4.5%, then not paying off our house, we're making money, you know, if we put the money into the high yield savings account. We prefer to be out of debt, so we're gonna go ahead and pay the house off. But, you know, that's just a strategy. Good debt versus bad debt. If you get a 0% car loan, that's great. You know, you get 0% for 7 years. You know, ride that thing out for 7 years. You know, apply your money somewhere else. Make sure you get a car that's going to last you 7 years. You know, if you're going to trade in the car at 5, then you know probably isn't going to work out all that well for you. So there is good debt, there is bad debt. Credit card debt is pretty much universally bad debt. All right, so debt to earnings ratio, you want to make sure that you stay, again, living within your means. How to pay off debt, what I recommend that you do is that if you've got multiple things that you owe money on, start with the littlest one, right? So let's say you've got something that costs you $100 a month, something that costs you $200 a month, and something that costs you $300 a month. And with each one of those, you have a greater amount of debt. The problem is if you start with a $300 a month thing and it's the longest thing to pay off, again, it's kind of like being on a diet. You get tired of it before you get it paid off. But if you can pay off that $100 thing, then you've built a little bit of momentum. You feel good about that, and then you take that $100. You take that $100 after you pay off that debt. Go out to eat, have fun, do something with it. Then the next month you apply that $100 to the $200. Now you're paying $300 on it. Pay it off, and then apply that entire principal to the $300 a month debt. So pay off the little ones, and then just work your way up the food chain. So pay everything off as quickly as possible, but when you pay something off, apply that money to something else. Once you get everything paid off, you know, celebrate that, and then add into your retirement account. All right, so we kind of talked about this. You know, if you got loans that are very low interest, house loans 2.5%. If you're on a car loan that is a 0% car loan, there are other things that you can do with your money. Prefer to be out of debt, go ahead and pay those things off, but there is a strategy that would say that you could apply that money to something that would earn more return. Okay, so what we mean by return is interest. We use the term percent interest really to apply to loans, but return is percent interest you earn on your investment. So a return is just that. All right, so potential return versus interest paid. You know, make sure that you're making more money than what you're paying out. And before we get into you know, investment vehicles, what is your tolerance for you know, for any kind of debit, for any kind of investment, anything like that? So you're young enough, most of us in the room, most of you in the room, I'm not, but most of you in the room are young enough that you can go a little bit aggressive in your investments. So when you meet with your investment person, when you go to work for somebody, they'll offer you different you know, vehicles for investment. I would recommend that, you know, if you plan to work for 40 years, I would recommend to go a little bit aggressive. And what I mean by that is that there's risk and there's return, all right? So the higher the risk, typically the higher the return. And on a timeline of 20, 30, 40 years, what you'll see with high risk things is that they'll go up, go down, but then they'll go back up again. And your potential for earning more in the return is greater on those high risk things. Okay, now once you get to 60 years old, you might want to go more conservative and less risky. All right, but at your age, you know, I'm not going to say go high risk. I'm not going to say put all your money into crypto, That would be foolish. I have some crypto, but that would be foolish to put all your money in crypto because it's volatile, very volatile. We'll talk about that. So, necessary spending, discretionary spending. Necessary spending are things like, your housing, your car insurance, things like that, your gas to get to and from work. So those are the things that you have to have enough money to cover. You probably don't right now. Discretionary spending is where you can save the money. Okay, so that's where you get, into trouble, is to not identify what's necessary and what's discretionary. So you see something you want, that's not necessary, right? So if you can't afford it, just don't buy it. But make sure you spend some money, fun money, pay yourself first. Pay yourself first means, set aside, be it going into that money market account or into, your investment vehicle, your true investment, your retirement account. All right, so vehicles for investment. Savings accounts really aren't. Your typical savings account at a bank is less than 1%. If you, once you get to a certain threshold, most of your banks will give you a high yield, offer you a high yield savings account. They're still low. They might keep up with inflation, but not much above that, so maybe 4%. Okay, so bonds tend to pay a little bit more. Stocks, individual stocks are a little bit volatile and a little bit difficult. But where you get into mutual funds, what a mutual fund is a collection of stocks. And what they'll have is some higher risk and lower risks stocks lumped together to create this mutual fund. You may have heard them referred to as index funds. So they'll take stocks out of different, like blue chip stocks or GE, huge companies, GM, Ford, companies that somebody will say are too big to fail. The government's probably going to help them out if they get into financial, issues. So individual stocks kind of shy away from, but most of your investment tools through your employer is going to offer mutual funds. So those are offered through like 401ks, and that's what Russ was describing as tax sheltered annuity. An IRA, a 401k, a 403b are all forms of tax sheltered annuities, but there are other things as well. You might have heard of Roth IRAs. That's a little bit different, but a Roth IRA, well, I'll describe that later in just a minute. So traditional IRAs come out pre-tax, like what Russ was talking about. So, you pay $1,000 and it might only cost you $800, right? So tax is going to come due on that eventually. So when you retire, you start drawing out of your IRA, you pay for it. So a Roth IRA works exactly the opposite. You pay money, you pay the tax up front, and then whenever you start to use your Roth IRA after you retire, you don't pay tax on it whenever you withdraw it. Okay, so these work exactly the opposite. Both good tools. Where you use a Roth is if you maximize your IRA, you put as much as what the IRS will allow you to put into, then open up yourself a Roth. And cryptocurrencies, crypto again is extremely volatile. I recommend that if you choose to do any kind of crypto, to do it with no more money than what you wouldn't be afraid to lose completely. All right, so 401k, 403b are really kind of the same things. 401k is usually for-profit companies, 403b is nonprofits. And then match programs are what Russ was talking about. Match programs, if you work for a company that has a match program, put in as much as they will match minimum, right? Because you get 100% return right off the bat. So we're going to take a look at what happens whenever you've got different amounts of money at different amounts of return here in a bit. So just more of the same stuff there. Okay, so power of compound interest. Time is your greatest asset. So, you know, it's not really jaded, it's factual. Every war ever fought has been a financial thing, right? It's just over finances. So money's huge. And one of those things, one of the most powerful tools is compound interest. So compound interest is you've got so much money, at the end of the year, you're gonna have, you know, let's say you earn 10%, put $1,000 away, at the end of the year, you're gonna have $1,100. So at the end of next year, you're gonna have 10% increase on that $1,100. So you earn 10% of the 10% you got before. That's compound interest, okay? So interest is compounded. It can be compounded, you know, monthly, daily, annually, whatever. So what we're going to look at is future value of an annuity, future value of $1. See how much of a difference that, you know, time can make in that, and understand that the stock market goes up, stock market goes down. While I'm thinking about it, just kind of drive home the idea that crypto is a scary thing.
It's been bad lately.
It's been bad lately. And, you know, the only thing I've got in here is Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are probably the biggest two, right? So I bought the last big dip in Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin got up to like $80,000 and then it dropped to, I bought it. I'm the world's worst at giving advice and not following my own advice. The advice is great. You know, my oldest son, he bought Bitcoin and he said, okay, Dad, when should I sell? I mean, what do I do with this? Just hang on to it forever? I said, no. I said, Bitcoin's gonna drop again. When it hits $100,000, dump it, right? So it hit $100,000 and I thought it could go a little bit higher, right? And it hit $110,000, I thought it can go a little bit higher. Right now, it is at 69. Guess what I did not do? I did not sell my Bitcoin. But when I bought it, it was at 29,000. So I'm still good. I'm still good, but I'm not as, I should have dumped all of it and bought it again now, right? So anyway, crypto, crazy. Only a little bit, only a little bit. All right, so understand that there's going to be ebbs and flows. If you have discretionary money that you can add to your retirement account, watch those ebbs and flows and buy the dips, okay? Don't wait until, like gold right now is like $5,400 an ounce. Don't really recommend that. You know, it might drop, it might not, but it's at an all-time high right now. Probably not a good time to buy gold. All right, so future value tables. Let me see if I can magnify this. Okay, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Okay, so can y'all kind of see that? There, a little better. Okay, so what you've got are two different things. You've got future value of a dollar and future value of an annuity. Okay, so like this is future value of $1. So if you had $1 and you put, or you have $1 and it was earning 1%, after a year you would have $1.01, right? So what this thing does is, or what this table describes is how much you can earn over a period of time. So this is time, and this is interest rate or return, since we're talking about not debt but what you're earning. So if you were to earn 6% over 12 years, then you would have, $2 and whatever. So the higher your return and the longer you hold something, the better off you are, okay? So let's say, would just take too long, but we're gonna do it anyway. All right. Let's minimize that. Let's see if we can find a calculator.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
Where's the calculator on this thing? I updated our computer not too long ago. I can't find anything.
There's ones on like even Google too.
Here we go. All right. So let's say you had $10,000. All right. And you didn't have, any more money to add to it. So we went through calculation of percentage last semester. So 1 means 100% of something, right? So if you're earning, let's say you're young enough that maybe you get into something that's kind of aggressive, and over a period of time of, let's say 20 years, it earns 12%. That's pretty ambitious, right? Don't count on that, but let's just use that. So 1.12. So I got 10,000 times 1.12 equals, that's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's pretty impressive, right? So that $10,000 20 years from now is almost $100,000 worth of money. If you just forget it's there. That's on a, set interest rate. So that's a future value of $1, and the other thing is future value of an annuity. So what you see in this is, it's a little bit harder to calculate, so we're just going to use a table. So let's do the same thing. So we got a 12% investment, and what we're doing is we're putting some money into it, and we're going to see how much it grows if I put that same amount. Notice here on year 2, I've got $2, right? And year 3, I've got $3. So this is an annuity. This is where you have put money into it every single year. Okay, so let's do this. Well, yeah, let's do this. So let's use the same number, 12, and let's go 20 years here, and we go across 20 years at 12%, then our return is going to be 72.0524. Okay? You're going to have to remind me what that was. It's 72.0524. Back to our calculator. Ah. Where'd it go?
It was under all.
It was
Top
looking
right.
up the wrong.
Top.
Ah, there we go. You would have thought that would have populated. Okay. So let's go back with our $10,000 times 72.054.
No,
Is
it's
that right?
24.
Huh?
0524.
524. Okay.
Backspace right, top right.
One more right.
No, backspace. Actually,
Ah, there it is. Okay.
24.
524. You get on the spot up here and everything gets so much harder. So, how's that?
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. Right. So, yeah. So, if the moral of the story is that if the more money you put in, the more money you're going to get back out of it, right? So the more money you can add, the more money you can see in retirement. So what does it take to be a millionaire by the time you are ready to retire. And understanding that $1 million is really not all that much money anymore. But it's enough that it would supplement your Social Security, right? So what would it take to make that much money? First off, here we go. We've got future value calculators. If you go to these links, you can get to future value calculators, but a tale of two strategies. So if somebody were to add to their retirement $2,000 per year from age 18 to 65, that's 47 years. So let's compare that to what somebody would do if they added $2,000 per year from 26 to 65. And the strategy here is at 26, let's say somebody graduated from high school and they got a good job just out of high school, or they just prioritized and put that money away. That 47 years, you know, the difference in investment in those 8 years. This person went to school, paid off their loans, which is a good thing, right? Before they ever started investing. But at 26, they started putting the same amount of money in, and for 39 years, they invested that money. Now, I think I added this. I did not. All right. So then let's do this. Future value calculator, number of periods, 47. $2,000. Interest rate, did I have an interest rate in there?
No.
No.
6 is fine.
I said no, okay. So let's go even a little bit less, and let's go with 10%. Starting amount, actually, we're going to go with 0, and we're going to say our periods are I can't even find the delete button on this. Backspace. $2,000. Let's see what we got.
Yeah,
Starting amount need, okay, all right, we'll give it a buck. Okay, so 47 years, our future value is $1.7,440,000. So 47 years, all right? Now let's go back and redo it again on 36 and see what we've got. That didn't work. Oh, interest rate 10%, $2,000.
It's all the same.
That's about right.
That's about right.
Yeah. So what's the moral of that story?
Start
Invest from where?
Start young, start as much as you can, you know, leave it alone, let it rest as long as you possibly can. Don't touch it until you retire, and you're going to be much better off. Okay? So again, what is your risk tolerance? So, you know, if you are afraid that in those dips you're going to lose all your money, you're probably going to want to go a little bit more conservative. You can still find conservative investments that pay pretty good return. If you're, you know, as young as most of y'all are, you could probably go pretty aggressive. When the market drops, don't open your portfolio. Okay, just leave it alone. It's going to come back up. The only way it's not going to come back up if something catastrophic nationwide takes place. China invaded and took over the entire U.S.
Be bigger
Right.
problems.
Yeah, exactly. Then you've got bigger problems. You need a gun, and you need to go take somebody else's food stashes, right? So, you know, assume that's not going to happen. Okay. So later in life, you're going to want to go more conservative. Right? So you hit 60, you hit 55, 50 years old, you might want to drop it back to something more conservative. But start as young as possible, establish those habits, don't break the habits, watch the investments, don't panic sell, don't panic buy. You know, buy the dips if you want to add more money, you know, one-time investments and to boost your stocks or whatever, your investments. But don't panic. Adjust where necessary. If you see a trend in one of your mutual funds, just continually going down, you might want to change. At least talk to somebody. Talk to your investment person and say, you know, should we make an adjustment and go with something different, a different mutual fund. Mutual funds almost are always going to trend consistently upward. You know, it's not going to be a steady incline, but it is going to be, you know, goes up, comes down less, goes up, comes down less, always goes up. Okay? So, any questions?
After I got to my office, I thought about what we discussed in class on retirement savings and decided that these numbers really not real practical for what we were discussing. So our guest lecturer, he said that the starting rate right now is around $27 an hour. So 27 times 2,080 hours per year, that's an annual salary of $56,160. So if they had a 100% match program for as much as 5% of your salary, that would be overall between the 5% you put in and the 5% they put in, that would be an annual contribution of $5,160. So let's plug that into our calculator and look at what the numbers show there. So I went ahead and did that. Starting amount effectively zero. If you went 39 years, if you worked for 39 years and you never changed your contribution from $5,610 a year, then your lifetime earnings would be $1,340,480. And then if you work that extra, I believe we went 8 years, to a total of 47 years that you worked. And understand that these numbers, this number down here should increase every year. So every year you get a pay raise, you should increase the amount that you deposit, which then would also increase the amount that you were matched. So this number should go up every year. But if it stayed static and it never changed throughout your entire career, and we recalculated that, your lifetime interest, even if we dropped it back down to 8, the interest and principal added to your lifetime investment will be $2.5 million. So that is, you know, maybe that hits a little bit harder and makes you understand the importance of starting early, you know, and contributing as much as you can, at least up to the point that they match. Now, if you went even, you know, $2,000 a year more than that and went with $7,000, then it would increase your overall up to almost $1 million. So $3,446,607. Now, I'd mentioned in class that $1 million really isn't that much to retire on, and you've got to understand that $3 million, you know, 47 years from now is not going to be worth $3 million, $3.5 million, but it's still going to be a whole lot of money. And what you would like to do is get that number to a point where you draw from the interest. So by the time you retire, what you might want to do is shift that over to a high yield savings account of some sort and just live off of the interest that it earns and leave the principal alone as much as you can. So that would be what your best case scenario would be, is maybe to get to a point where at your point of retirement, you don't have to touch that principal and you just live off the interest. So hope that is a little bit more impactful than that $2,000. I probably need to adjust my literature a little bit, and I'll add this to the end of the previous recording.